Hi, I'm Tom Lydon, editor of ETF Trends here in Hollywood, Florida at the ETF.com conference. And I'm here with Dan Draper, global head of Invesco Powershares. Dan, it's great to have you.
Tom, great
it's
to be here.
An exciting conference. There's a lot going on, and you folks have a lot going on, especially as we were talking about smart beta. But today we were going to talk about index construction,
Right.
and the legacy indexes, which really made up a lot of the initial ETFs, are constructed a certain way. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. Well, if you think that the original ETFs that came about were market cap weighted, and that's really because if you think about buying the largest, most liquid companies in an index is cost effective. The rebalancing and tax-wise, a lot of benefits for doing that. But we've seen very distinctively, when you have big asset bubbles and bursts of those bubbles, it can lead to problems. For example, if you look at the dot-com bubble, if you owned a broad-based market cap weighted index, your tech sector exposure went from 19 to over 33% in just 12 months. So effectively, you were doubling down nearly, going into the worst part of that bubble. Japan, for example, you look at that over a 3-year period, if you had a global portfolio of stocks, you would have doubled your exposure to Japan at the worst time.
Yeah, so just inherently in the way our indexes that we use as benchmarks over a period of time, the constituents aren't set up equal. In the S&P 500, for example, Apple represents the largest holding, but the smallest holding is actually only 1/146th of that, which is crazy. It doesn't mean that it's not 146 times more valuable than Apple. So let's talk about the Russell. You have a new product that's out, Russell Equal Weight. And talk us a little bit through the strategy and what went into creating this ETF.
That's right. So Invesco Powershares, exactly right, has partnered with Russell and now FTSE Russell, taking their flagship institutional benchmark. So that's the Russell US 1000, market cap weighted. But what we wanted to do, again, to manage these, if you will, behavioral kind of herding impacts that happen from time to time in the market cap weighting, let's take a better approach. And so basically we've taken this 1000 index and we've basically equal weighted each of the 9 sectors.
Okay.
And then within the sectors, we've done a second level of equal weighting into the individual stocks. And what we then do is systematically rebalance each quarter. So what we're trying to do is when there become these, if you will, behavioral and to some degree emotional herding that really pushes concentrated movements in individual stocks and sectors, we're trying to filter those out in a systematic, cost-effective way through this index.
So for example, right now, it looks so far this quarter, financials are getting hammered, technology's taken off. It might be at the end of the quarter if you have a disproportionate amount in technology, a lower amount in financials, you'd reset that to equal weighted.
That's exactly right. So it's a form of, if you will, dollar cost averaging, but in a systematic way, and also in a way that hopefully is tax efficient. Because as you know, with the ETF wrapper, you're able to we haven't had any capital gains or losses in these similar type of strategies in the past. It's an ability to do it in a tax effective way, but also in a smart way to try to minimize transaction costs along the way.
And traditionally, we've had a large cap run in the last 5 years.
Absolutely.
Small cap, mid caps underperformed, but over time, they've outperformed large cap, and this is kind of inherently a good balance between the small, mid, and large.
That's right. Without trying to get someone to just market time, hey, I'm going to make a big bet, I'm going to switch everything today or tomorrow. Again, this gives you a way through index construction to kind of rebalance to these, whether it's small, mid cap, or perhaps it's more of a growth bias at some stage, but you can actually do that in an effective way.
So for an advisor that even has a simple asset allocation strategy, historically they're going to be more large cap weighted. Now, without making any big market bets, here's a great way to diversify a portion into this area where you're going to get equal weight exposure, a little bit more small cap and mid cap representation as well.
Again, in a cost effective. I talked about the tax. Generally we're not expecting the product to generate tax gains or losses, but also the expense ratio.
What is it?
20 basis points a year. It's very cost effective.
Yeah, no, it's great. And the name again?
It's EQAL.
EQAL.
So the Russell 1000 equal weight.
Great. Dan, as always, great seeing you.
Hey, you too, Tom. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.